Okay, so I wanted to do just a quick flip through for you guys, so then that way you guys can see what I do with my planner and kind of how things go. So for the budget planner, essentially what I do is in the front part, I put in the months, and then I put in when everybody is having birthdays, and then the cap on how much we're going to spend. And then if there's anything that needs to come out of sinking funds, then I have that in black. So blue is going to be birthdays, black is going to be sinking funds. So each month I go through, and I'm going to just kind of flip through this. I go through and I do figure out what each month, what I'm going to be spending. So I've gone ahead and I've broken this all up per each week, because I get paid every 2 weeks, and so does Nick, and it just happens to fall every single week we get paid. So the first thing that I do is I always account for how much money is coming in, and then I do my transfers. Now, all of these amounts, especially Netflix, is going to change just because they did a price increase. But everything that's in here is just kind of an estimate as to what we're going to be spending, just because that way I have it kind of pre-mapped out. And with the utilities, it changes month to month, so I don't try to worry about that. But then for accounts, also for savings, I have the sinking funds, regular savings, emergency savings, and gift accounts. And I have these all set up back here with tabs like savings, home maintenance, which comes out of sinking funds, car maintenance comes out of sinking funds, giving, we just keep track of when we make a donation, like we did the Nebraska flood relief, we did like cash to the drivers and then material donations. Anything that I have with my shop, wish lists, we just kind of, if Lakin mentions something, I'll write it down real quick. Lane doesn't usually want anything other than gaming stuff, but sinking funds I have here, and then I have this as a printable, so if you guys want that, I can give you that. And then gifting budget, we did go ahead and establish a gifting budget. Now, Nick and I agreed on $100 each. However, it's one of those situations that a lot of times we don't buy each other gifts, and it's just because that's how we are. It isn't anything to be mean to one another. It's just the fact that it's not really that big of a deal for us. So then we also have gifting, and we have Christmas. We've set up a Christmas budget, and kind of, you know, I have everybody's name down here, and then I write down the gift ideas and stuff like that. And then I have blank pages in the back that I've set up with tabs for additional things. One of them is, let's see, extra paycheck ideas, like pay extra on the mortgage, put money into the savings, or put the money into the gift or Christmas fund, just because there are a few months that we'll have a 5th paycheck, and then we want to make sure that we get that taken care of appropriately, so then that way it doesn't just get wasted, essentially. So the other thing is, I did go ahead and do goals for the month, and I want to make an additional monthly payment to the mortgage each month, but right now I'm so focused on trying to get money into savings that is really the first part of, you know, this. And so I have these as ongoing goals, and then I already debauched this one because I caved, and Nicholas needed a new vehicle, but we did pay well over half of the vehicle, and then when we get tax money next year, we're going to put the rest of that in there as well, and then next year that vehicle will be paid off, and we won't have a 2 to 3 year loan on that. But my goal is not to take out any additional loans or credit cards, because we have no credit card debt, absolutely none. The two things that we owe on is the house and the Infinity, and that is it. And I don't want to add any more debt to our lives, because I just don't want to deal with that kind of stuff right now, or really ever. So I keep everything and I track it. I did the monthly planner. I did uncoil it and use book rings to hold this together just as an experiment, and that's why it looks like this. I've also included baby steps, paying off the house early, investing, giving a month worth of expenses in the regular family savings. I'm finding that I am more comfortable with having money in the regular checking account, and when it gets below a certain amount, I start getting anxiety, because I'm like, okay, we don't need to buy X, Y, and Z this month. We already spent money, and there's no reason to purchase anything else, or don't go out to eat as often. I'm really trying to kick our habit of that, because we're horrible about eating out constantly. So it's just something, you know, that I'm trying to cut back on, because it's an unnecessary expense. For $60, I could feed the entire family for a week, and that includes our son that's 21 years old, and he doesn't live with us, but he works here in town, and then he comes over and he eats dinner every night, because I told him I don't want him to get into that habit that we had gotten into of eating out constantly. And he's so excited, because he's actually started saving more money doing this. So I just put these amounts in just as examples, and like I said, this is all on the erasable. So if you know, something goes up or down or whatever, then I can go ahead and I can erase the amounts, and we're still good. Now, I generally try to put $40 into the sinking funds every month, because I've gone ahead and I've planned that out, and I know, okay, this is the total amount, and then I divided it by 12, and then I went ahead and I divided that by 4, so then that way I knew how much I needed to put in for sinking funds. Once we get the accounts to where they need to be as in balances, like I know how much I need for sinking funds, then I don't have to do this anymore for sinking funds. But I will probably keep putting money in sinking funds, because it's kind of a revolving account. Things come in, things go out. I like to pay our trash bill 1 year at a time. And so that really helps with me. I do not believe in a zero budget at all, because I feel like that causes me way too much stress to figure out where every single penny is going. As long as I know that I'm contributing to our savings accounts, and then I'm getting my monthly bills paid each month, then I'm good. But I am not going to sit there and try to figure out where every single penny is going. I'm going to pay my bills. I'm going to make sure there's gas in the vehicle, food on the table, things like that. And you'll notice that fuel and I do an allowance for us each time we get paid. We get $100. And so that's our $100 to do. So we essentially have $200 a month that we can do whatever we want with. And there's no questions asked by the spouse. You know, my husband will just tell me, hey, I'm going to do this and it's going to cost X, Y, Z. And I'm like, that's fine. He just likes to keep me in the loop, and he likes me to keep him in the loop. He likes to know all this stuff. So with that said, this method may not work out for you. You may need to do a different method, depending on your financial situation and what you can and can't afford to do. But in the end, I want to say this is the method that we're finding that works the best. Actually, I should say I'm finding that works the best, because my husband doesn't really do of the financial stuff. That's all on me, but I do keep records and keep him in the loop as to what's going on, because if something were to happen to me, say I got really sick and was in the hospital, he needs to know what he has to do in order to keep the household running. Now, my goal is to always have the, all of our expenses for the month, to have that full amount in the checking account basically at all times, in case something does happen where one of us can't work, or, something goes awry and we're not ready for it, and we don't have enough money in the sinking funds or in an emergency fund, that there's still going to be money to pay the bills on the monthly basis, because I don't want to be in the situation where we get super stressed out about things. And we have done that. We've had, full disclosure here, we've had several years where we're just completely stressed out on the financial front when it comes to the end of the year, like October, November, December. Big, huge birthday months for us is September, October, November. In our family, we have tons of birthdays, tons of friends that have birthdays in those months, and not everybody's going to get a monetary gift. Sometimes it's just going to be a card. But when it comes to Christmas, it's something that we've decided, this is what we want to spend on the children, or in the case of our oldest, we just give him the money. But it's something that I feel like this is going to be a better way to do this, because once I have those gift accounts going and I can get that built up, I'm not going to have that stress around the holiday season. I can just go purchase what I need to purchase and then call it a day. But like I said, this is what works for us. It's not necessarily what works for everyone. The one thing that I will tell you is I have two favorite bank accounts. One is Capital One, because they essentially have no fees. So if that account goes in the negative, they do have an overdraft protection component. And I think in total for 2018, I think we had like 27 cents in fees. And that was just the interest on that overdraft protection. But I set a cap for that at $100, because I was like, there's no reason to go past $100, period. So that is what we did. And then the other thing that we did is we signed up for Discover, because through Discover Bank, and I'll put the links below for you guys so that you can get those. But with Discover Bank, they have cash back on purchases. It's not just their credit card, it's a checking account. And then you can open as many savings accounts as you want. They have Roth IRAs, they have, all of these great options that you can utilize for all of your financial planning. So definitely check out those two banks. That is, we're not touching our cash back on our Discover account, because we're going to use that as kind of like a safety net. My husband and I talked about it, because you can set up the account as to it just staying where it accumulates, or you can take it and you can make it so that it dumps the money back into your account every month. Well, for us, we just want it to stay and accumulate and kind of just leave it there. It's not a huge amount, but I believe, I think it's, 1 to 3% cash back. I'm not exactly for sure, but I do know that it's building rapidly. And it's, I'm surprised, like within, a couple of weeks, it's gone, we've gotten it up there. And I use that for our mortgage payment. Actually, any bills. If we have any bills, we try to, we're going to use the Discover account. For anything else, like, and this is how I've tracked it, is I've done anything that comes out of Discover is going to be in the orange, and then anything that comes out of Capital One is going to be in the blue, and then my Etsy is actually under Capital One Business. So everything's divided out and everything's separated, but you have to sit down and you have to figure out, okay, this is approximately what we're going to be making, you know, per month, and then figure out how you're going to get your budget set up. Because if you don't take that time to set up that budget, you're just going to not be able to get anything organized. And it takes a while, and I'm not going to lie, it takes a long time to get this figured out, because you need to make sure that you're putting your bills in the appropriate column, essentially, to line up with paychecks. So then that way, you know, hey, I've got X, Y, and Z. Now, the other thing that I do have that's not listed on here is an account that I have. It's a savings account. And if I don't spend my $100, what I do is if I don't spend the entire $100, I should say, I take that remainder and I put it into a savings account. Because what I'm doing with that then is, like, if I want to do a big purchase, like right now, I have my heart set on an automated ice making machine, because we go through tons of ice during the summer, and that's something my husband was like, no. And I said, well, if I save up from my $200 every month, then can I purchase it? And he goes, yeah, then that's fine. He goes, just keep me in the loop and let me know what's going on. So, you know, for bigger item purchases, I will still talk to him about it, but I will say, okay, I'm going to use my money out of my allowance. And, you know, he calls it fund money. He doesn't call it allowance. And so it's up to him how he spends his, and it's up to me how I spend mine. But I tell him, you know, this is what we have. This is what I pay. And every week I go through this and I do the budget, and I make sure I have everything written down. And then what I'll do is I just take just a picture of what I need him to know about. So then that way he's updated on it, because it's not always conducive for him to come into my office and look this over. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I will link below the sinking funds. And basically what I did on the sinking funds, let's see, where is that at? I printed these off on sticker paper. You can just print it off on regular paper, and then you can use a adhesive roller and just tape it down to your page. Now, the other thing that I want to disclose is this is a monthly planner, but then what I did is I took a monthly planner and I took a notebook and I took the two apart, and then I put them all together. So that's why I have so many more pages than just what a regular notebook is. And that's another reason why I went with the book rings on here. So, and it's really easy. As you're uncoiling it, you just put in the book rings as it's coming uncoiled. So then that way you're not having to fight with this the entire time. So if you guys have any questions, like I stated before, go ahead and just message me down below, and I will be more than happy to answer anything for you. And I hope this helps somebody. It's not a perfect method, but it's my method and it's what works for us. So thank you for watching. If you guys need anything, once again, just comment down below, and the banks and the other printables that I have to offer for free will be linked as well. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and that your financial planning goes easily and smoothly, and it makes you less stressed. Have a good one.